Hey everyone, before we start today's video, I did want to remind you all or let you know that I am running a giveaway on the channel at my first 100 subscriber mark. I am giving away a $40 mystery bag from my friend Jay at Wicked Treasures in Chepachet, Rhode Island. In this mystery bag, there's a mystery slab, a booster pack, a holo rare card, and a mystery full art. $40 is what I paid, but you get it for absolutely free, just for supporting the channel when I'm starting out here, early. So, thanks for the support, thanks for watching, let's get into the video. Welcome to the first episode of my new mini-series, Get Decked. What I do here is open a measly 9 booster packs of a given set from the Scarlet and Violet era, and I build a deck out of it. Then I test it in battle, and we give it a final grade. In each episode, I open the following set from the Scarlet and Violet era, again, only 9 packs, and I see what I can add to that deck, and I test it and grade it again. This series is meant to present a challenge to build a deck using limited resources. This series is also going to push me to use cards I would never consider in a deck, and probably using things in ways that I would never have imagined. If you watched my last video, which is linked below, you'll know that I did not have a good time on my first go of Scarlet and Violet. But we're back at it again, and let's see if we can do any better. So without any further ado, I'm going to roll the intro clip, and then we're going to start ripping these packs. I'm Brett. As a 90s kid, Pokemon has always been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I collected the cards, played the video games, I had all the toys, clothes, and collectibles that came with them. But fast forward to 2024, my wife and I teach kids and their parents how to play the game at our local library. We've hosted tournaments, we've had trade days, and we've started to bring our community together for kids and families that really don't know where to start when it comes to playing the Pokemon TCG. In this time, I've paid close attention to competitive play, the best decks in the format, and kind of just expanding my knowledge, and I've done my best to make that information more digestible for beginners. Alright, so we skipped the part where I take out all the fluff from the Elite Trainer box. We've got our 9 booster packs. We've got the code card for anyone interested. And we have our Koraidon promo, which I would say there's like a 50-50 chance that this goes in the deck. So, let's go. We got Growlithe, Staravia, Ralts, would love to see Gardevoir, Tandemaus, oops, we got Miriam, Spiritomb, Ultra Ball. I'm already psyched about the Ultra Ball. We got Slowbro Reverse, and we got the Rare Candy Reverse, and Professor's Research. So, just the trainers in this one booster pack, I've already eclipsed the items that I got from my last Elite Trainer box. Not to mention Professor's Research is a big help too. But looking for some good EXs to fight with here. We got Starly, Little, Shroomish, Charcadet, Electric Generator. Would love to see some good electric type Pokemon. We got Trio, Judge, another great start, Cyclizar, Watchroll, and another Koraidon. So now we've got 2 actually. Which already is somewhat consistent if we look to build a fighting type deck. Oh my gosh. We got the Pokegear. I'm loving this box. I'm two packs and 1 card in, and there's already more consistency than the last 9 packs that I opened in my previous video. But we got the Pokegear. We got Floette, Tommy, Smoliv, Espathra, I know we saw the Flittle earlier. We got Arven, which is great. Cacturn, Fortress Reverse, Dolive, and we got the Spidops EX Full Art. I don't know if I've seen Tarantula yet, but who knows if we'll be able to use that. I'm gonna put them off to the side. But hope you've all been doing well. Hope you've been enjoying the spring weather wherever you're living at. Mankey, Capsicid, Potion, might not be much use. Weasel and Floatzel, okay. Team Star Grunt, Lucario, we got something else back here. Mareep, Oh my god, look at that. We got the Gardevoir EX special illustration rare. So we also have a rare candy and a Ralts. So that's 100% going in the deck. Friggin' beautiful. And we got an Annihilate. Oh man. We're cruising. I didn't expect to hit like a chase card in the set. You know, you never expect much out of 9 packs, but we're killing it right now. We got Wiglet, Greavard, Mastiff, Spupa, Mazagoza could be good, Driftblim, Defiance Band, good in any deck, a Growlithe, another Pokeball, and Skeledirge. I don't think I've seen the previous 2 stages of Skeledirge, but maybe we'll find them. But so far, I'm so excited to build a deck out of these cards because it's so much better than last time. Energy Retrieval, love to see it. Lechonk, Slowpoke, Watchroll, a Rock Chestplate could be handy. Titan, Flaffy, Clawitzer, Revavroom could be good. Draw Engine, and double Revavroom. Okay, now we're cooking. And we got our code card. Don't remember seeing a Varoom, but might be something we find later. I just fumbled the whole pack. Well, I know our rare is a Slowbro, which is fine, I guess. But maybe we'll find something else good in there. We got Metatype, Energy Search, love it. Grimer, Bruxish, could be good if we play some water types. Tatsugiri, a Nest Ball, awesome. Pachirisu, Capsakid, a Picnic Basket, our Slowbro. We got 2 packs left. Would love to see a Kirlia, so I don't have to rely on that rare candy for Gardevoir. Would love to see a couple more supporters, maybe items, Ultra Ball, Nest Ball, Pokeball, Zangoose, Croagunk, Dedenne. There's our Kirlia. We got Youngster, another helpful supporter. Blissey, we got Jack, again, another helpful one. Another Rock Chestplate, another Zangoose. We actually got the Great Tusk EX. So, not the greatest, but could end up being our hardest hitter in the deck. And it's basic, so I'll take it. We got our energy. There we go. Alright, final pack. I don't think I've seen a Tarantula yet, so I'd love to see one. We also haven't seen a Varoom, so if we don't see one here, our Revavroom draw engine is toast. But we got Cacnea, Sandile, Mareep, Silicobra, a Picnic Basket, Bombirdier, Hypno, Flamigo, another Sandile, Armarouge. I know we saw Charcadet in there, and that's our rare. So we might have some missing pieces. There's your last code card. All right, I'm gonna take a look at the cards we've pulled. I'm gonna put a deck together, and the next step is to go over the deck profile. Then we'll get into some play testing, and we'll give it a final grade to start us off. So my day got away from me. It is the following day now, and I'm finally ready for this deck profile. Had to go to work, had to watch the Bruins smoke the Leafs again, big Game 3 win, but I digress. Here's the deck. So we do have our 1 Ralts, 1 Kirlia, and 1 Gardevoir EX. I did swap that beautiful special illustration rare for a full art because I just don't want to play with such an awesome card. So I've got 1/1/1, which is great. I have 1 Flittle and an Espathra. Both of its effects, Espathra will trap my opponent in the active, which could be helpful. And I do more damage with its second attack, Psychic. I do more damage for each energy attached to my active Pokemon. So if it's a big Pokemon out there that needs 3 or 4 energies to retreat, Espathra can be hitting it for a good amount of damage as a single prizer. Gardevoir should be able to get it energized and be able to attack as well with Miracle Force and Psychic Embrace, letting me attach energies to my benched Psychic Pokemon for the cost of 20 damage per energy. And finally, for my Psychic Pokemon, I've got the Dedenne for 2 energy. It does 10 more damage for each damage counter on my opponent's active Pokemon. So if I've started doing some damage to a big Pokemon, I can come out with the Dedenne and take a pretty easy KO. And that's it for my psychic types. We've got our Great Tusk EX, which is most likely going to be our heavy hitter in the deck, being able to swing for 250 with 3 energy. It also does damage to itself, but that is something that we can come back to later in the deck profile. I've got 2 Koraidon, which are great single prize attackers that do a lot of damage, but for a lot of energy. 4 energy for 190, discarding 3 energy from this Pokemon. Not something I can use regularly in-game, but it will get me some big KOs with a single prize Pokemon. We do have a 1/0/1 line Mankey. We don't have Primeape, and we've got Annihilate. I do have that rare candy in the deck that will allow me to get Annihilate if possible. Annihilate, another single prize Pokemon, doing 170 only for 2 energy, but doing 52 itself. Again, will address the healing issue. And Rage Fist for 1 energy. I can do 70 damage for each prize card my opponent has taken. So late game, this thing can smoke anything. Briefly had a camera hiccup there, but we're back. We're moving on to the water type Pokemon. We do have 1 Tatsugiri that will let me accelerate water energies onto my Pokemon. If necessary, early game, or Curl Up will do 30 damage, but also allow me to take Tatsugiri back into my hand if I need to make room on my bench for something else, or have a quick pivot if I have a Pokemon getting knocked out and I need to switch something else into the active. I have 1 Weasel and Floatzel. This Tatsugiri can come in handy with Floatzel because I can do more damage for each water type energy attached to Floatzel. I have a Wiglet and a Wugtrio, 1 of each. Wugtrio isn't one that I was excited to throw in the deck. Undersea Tunnel though, for 3 energy, I can flip 3 coins, and for each heads, I discard the top 3 cards of my opponent's deck. So it's not an attacker, it's not something I can revolve my strategy around, but the option to get my opponent to discard 9 cards, it felt like it was worthwhile throwing it in the deck when I had very few other good options. I do have 1 Bruxish, again, similar to Tatsugiri. For 1 water energy, I can search my deck for 3 basic energy of any kind, attach them to my, or reveal them and then bring them into my hand. And then I do have 1 Slowpoke and 1 Slowbro. So Slowbro has an ability that will allow me to move damage counters from my active Pokemon to Slowbro as often as I like. So with things like Great Tusk and Annihilate taking damage to themselves, Slowbro may allow me to give them another turn or 2 to attack if I need it. Alright, next up we've got our supporter line and our item cards, and we're going to move into our energy count and we'll get into some playtesting. So starting out with supporters, we've got Youngster and Judge. Youngster allows me to shuffle my hand into my deck and draw 5. Judge makes both players shuffle their hands into their deck and draw 4, which could disrupt my opponent if they've got a big hand. Also keeps me from just having a handful of energy in stage 1 Pokemon that I don't need. Gives me a fresh start. Professor's Research, same thing. I can discard my hand and draw 7, especially with a little bit of ability to recycle cards later in the deck. Professor's Research could be a huge help. I've got Arven, who will allow me to search my deck for an item and a tool card. I've got Jack, who allows me to search for up to 2 evolution Pokemon, which could be a big help. I have Miriam, who allows me to shuffle 5 Pokemon from my discard back into my deck. If I do that, I draw 3, so recycling and draw support. And I've got a Team Star Grunt, which allows me to put an energy on my opponent's active Pokemon onto their deck. So not an ideal supporter, but was worth putting in the deck just for the chance of disrupting my opponent's attacking. For tool cards, I've got 2 Rock Chest Plates, and the fighting type Pokemon that this card is attached to takes 30 less damage from attacks from my opponent's Pokemon, so making that Great Tusk even tankier, possibly a Koraidon or Annihilate, good help. Defiance Band, where if I'm losing the game in the prize trade, the Pokemon that this is attached to does 30 extra damage. For Stadium, I got 1 Mezagoza, which will allow me to flip a coin. If I land heads, I can search my deck for any Pokemon in the deck, which could be risky, but could provide just a little bit more stability. For items, finally, we've got an Ultra Ball, which is discard 2. You can search your deck for any Pokemon in there. A Nest Ball, which allows you to take any basic Pokemon. Pokeball requires a coin flip, but if heads, you can search your deck for a basic Pokemon, or any Pokemon, sorry. Energy Search will allow me to get an energy out of my deck when necessary. Pokegear 3.0, one of my favorite item cards from this set. I can look at the top 7 cards in my deck, reveal any supporter, any of these guys that I find there, and bring it into my hand and then shuffle. I've got an energy retrieval, which allows me to take 2 energy from my discard back into my deck. And then I have some healing items, which I knew I was going to circle back to. I've got a potion, which heals 30. I've got 2 picnic baskets, which heals 30 from all Pokemon, so including my opponents. There may be a situation where it benefits me more than my opponent. There may be a time where I may want to use it, but it could stop me from getting a KO. And then finally, I've got the rare candy, which I could use on my Gardevoir line if necessary, or I can save it for my Annihilate. Last, energy count. I have 7 fighting type, 7 water type, and 6 psychic type for 20 total energy. Moving into our playtesting, I cut about halfway through game 1 just to kind of get to the part where we really start knocking each other out. I was dead drawing for a while. I have some Pokemon, I've got some energy, but I wasn't really accelerating anything, and Caden was playing very passively, just getting his Pokemon energized. I do here survive a one-hit knockout because of my Rock Chestplate, which gives me an opportunity to put some more damage counters on his Drapion V-Star, which will kind of save me later in the game. But the story here is that had I played a more aggressive opponent, I think this first game would end very differently. But my Great Tusk gets knocked out, and I kind of just have to stall with some weaker Pokemon that really aren't going to make much impact. But I do get enough damage in with my Flittle with 10 damage at a time, where my Koraidon can not only tank a hit from Drapion V-Star, but can also finish the job and hit for weakness. So there goes Drapion V-Star, and out comes Roaring Moon, which I really did not have an answer for at this time. And there goes my Koraidon. I kind of put Ralts in there just knowing that if I don't get Gardevoir out in the active soon, I was going to be toast. But there goes the Ultra Ball. I take out Gardevoir. I have the rare candy in hand in order to promote it straight to Gardevoir. And I have just enough energies in my discard to land Miracle Force to put some damage counters on my son's Roaring Moon EX. So he begins his turn and kind of just makes the quick choice to Frenzied Gouge, which knocks out both Gardevoir and Roaring Moon, resulting in a tie game. I think he had another Roaring Moon on his bench with at least 2 energies. Had he retreated and attacked with that one or waited another turn, he probably could have got the win. But again, he had several opportunities to be more aggressive in the game, and he chose to play passively. But on to game 2, I start the game with Great Tusk against Drapion V. And this game, I landed a couple heads with Mesagoza, but not long before it was replaced with something, I think Artisan, eventually. So my son switches out his Drapion V-Star before it takes too much damage for just a random Mastiff. He does have a couple Mabostiff EX cards in this deck that don't really see a lot of use. But I think his plan is to stall here while his Pokemon are powered up more. All the while, I've now got Kirlia on my bench, I'm attaching energies, and I'm getting my Gardevoir play set up while my Great Tusk is starting the job. there goes the Ultra Ball, taking out you-know-who. There's Gardevoir, I can evolve straight into it, and now I've got an attacker on my bench that's ready to keep swinging once I lose my Great Tusk. The thing about this deck is that there's just enough with the Ultra Ball, with the supporters, with the Nest Ball, there's just enough to keep the deck going, but you need to play conservatively enough to not waste those resources when you have them, unless it's going to be the difference between losing and continuing the game. But here I take out Drapion V-Star with a big hit, but I've got a lot of damage on Great Tusk, and this is where I start figuring that I can be healing my Great Tusk, at least for a little bit, to continue landing its big attack and taking those 50 damage counters without it getting knocked out. All the while still loading up my Gardevoir, now with a Defiance Band. And now my son sends out his last Pokemon in his active, or on his bench, being the Radiant Sneasler. And he manages to knock out the Great Tusk, but has nothing on his bench to save him from a Miracle Force, and Game 2 wraps up pretty quickly just due to my opponent's bench state. Fast forwarding into Game 3, I skip the first 5 or 6 turns where I'm doing 10 damage per turn to my son's Uxie. It's a 40 damage attack with minus 30 for resistance, so I'm landing 10 damage per turn. Again, having played a more aggressive opponent, I think it would be very easy for him to have just pressured me too much with Giratina V-Star on the bench, or even Cramorant, and he would have knocked out my bench before I had the opportunity to start taking bigger hits. But he chose to keep that Uxie in the active for 7 turns, giving us both opportunities to power up our Pokemon, then finally sending up this beefed up Giratina with like 9 energies and a maximum belt. So he takes down my Great Tusk in 1 hit, but I'm able to get some damage counters in with Koraidon here. I land heads with Mesagoza, and you'll see that this is the game where my dice rolls really saved me, and without a little bit of luck landing heads so often, there's no way I win this game. So there's another Lost Impact, takes out my Koraidon, and now this Wiglet here has its attack, which if I land heads, nothing, my opponent's Pokemon cannot damage it with the effects of attacks or any damage at all. So the only way you could get rid of, move around it is to switch out something on the bench for an active Pokemon. But my son has no Gust ability in his hand at the time. So it gives me more opportunities to get my Gardevoir out and ready, while he's stuck with nothing to do against my Wiglet. There's a Tails for Mesagoza, and then I roll again, and I trap him with my Wiglet one more time. And then I'm able to switch it out and take out Giratina V-Star with a Miracle Force, not after I roll heads for Mesagoza one more time. Moving on to the Mimikyu here, I kind of thank myself later in the game for having benched the Flittle and started working on it a turn early, because now I have an Espathra that I can accelerate energies onto, getting it ready to attack and take out that Mimikyu, because Gardevoir can do nothing against it. And here I use my Slowbro's ability to heal a little bit of damage from Gardevoir and Espathra, and later on you'll see I take the opportunity to heal my Slowbro as well. I retreat Gardevoir for the Espathra. I start with a smaller attack, but knowing next turn, if my son doesn't answer, I will take the knockout on Mimikyu and then have nothing really left in between me and just knocking out his one prizers with Gardevoir. And so there goes Mimikyu. But my Espathra gets crammed in response, but out comes Gardevoir, fully ready for Miracle Force, and I've only got 2 prizes left to take at this point, and I even get my Great Tusk out of the bench. Here my son's looking through the last few cards in his deck, trying to accelerate some energies just so we can have some kind of answer for Gardevoir, but he comes to find that he's got just about nothing left in his deck that's going to help him. And I take my Miracle Force, and that's the game. And finally, we're going to be able to give our deck a grade. We're going to be grading it on 3 things, being consistency, or whether or not I could execute a strategy regularly game in, game out. Power, or whether or not I could do enough damage to outswing my opponent, and synergy, or whether or not my cards just worked well together in unison. Each category will be graded on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being non-existent, obviously, and 10 being like comparable to a tournament-ready competitive deck. So, for consistency, we had just enough cards to get the Pokemon we needed at times, and we had just enough trainers to kind of keep our hand recycled when needed, but we had to be so patient and careful and conservative with those resources that it's not a deck where you could be aggressive with, and you needed to be far too careful in order to get the Pokemon you needed in order to fight. So consistency gets a 3 to start. Looking at the power of the deck, we had a couple good EXs that could do some heavy damage, and we had some single prize Pokemon like Rhydon and Annihilate that could offset a prize trade and take out knockouts on weaker Pokemon without risking a 2 prize card Pokemon like Great Tusk or Gardevoir. With those Pokemon, there were also a handful that were just absolutely useless and weren't really going to be able to contribute to the battle in any way, given, rare circumstances. So the overall power of the deck, I think, gets a 4, with it having potential to do big damage, but not really having a consistent way to attack with high energy costs. And the synergy of the deck. The synergy, the only thing we had going that you could call synergy was Slowbro's ability, moving damage counters from Pokemon that utilized Gardevoir's ability, or things like Annihilate or Great Tusk that take damage from their attacks, that Slowbro could kind of absorb that damage and keep them ready to fight. Without Slowbro's ability, you've really got nothing that's keeping this deck working together in unison, except for things like Arven that, allow me to search out an item card that can then search out a Pokemon. Synergy's not really a thing, so I'm giving it like a 3. So with that, our initial deck with Scarlet and Violet scores 11 points out of a possible 30, which only leaves room for growth as we move into a Paldea Evolved box for our next video. I'm excited to rip into this, I'm excited to get those scores up, and I'm excited to see where this deck goes using such limited resources from each set. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.